Click game here. Alright, it looks like maybe things worked on the first try. That's never a thing that happens to me. I'm kind of finishing up my breakfast, so you guys will have to forgive me. This is going to be like an eating together stream. So yeah, this is going to be on the YouTube video, which is going to be great. Just me eating and stuff. So anyway, this is Despot's game. Despot's game, for those of you who have no idea, is an auto-battler roguelike. Or at least it's got those tags. And Despot's, I've been searching for auto battlers for a long while, looking for something like Despot's. Despot's has the right pieces to be great. But in the end if you push your play up to like grandmasters and you wind up competing in the slim few top bracket of players who exist, the game lacks a little bit of dynamic depth, is how I want to say it. So it's like there are some elements I'm gonna wind up talking about it throughout the run, so I'll just shut my yap for now, but it's almost the game that I wanted it to be. It's got all the right pieces. Spoiler alert, so if you don't want to be spoiled on the game's many mechanics and stuff, get the heck out of here at this point. So you're gone now, right? If you're spoiler sensitive. The piece that's missing from so many auto battlers nowadays is an asynchronous PvP. Because there's a lot of auto battlers out there that they're just a PvE game. Or there's sort of a draw from an allotted pool, like Teamfight Tactics style. And this game borrows too much convention from Teamfight Tactics, for the record. Teamfight Tactics itself is borrowing from Dota Auto Chess, but Dota Auto Chess had this thing where you got class bonuses based on like having a certain number of units of that type. So like if you have, there are like tiers of units, like tiers 1 through 5 is how Despots runs it, and like the more tiers within a unit type that you have, the larger class bonus that you get. And honestly, I don't think that auto battlers need to stick to that particular formula. So many of them are doing so. I think there's a lot of room for building depth in auto battlers that don't rely on that particular formula, or break it, or do something slightly more dynamic. So when you start Despots, you get to choose the type of game that you're going to be playing. Brawl is sort of its own thing. It has its own ladder. The other modes trickle into King of the Hill at the end of the game. I'm going to be trying to break top 10 today, since I was 10th a little bit ago. Malcolm jumped me again, a friend of mine. But I'll be trying to break top 10 in this run. But basically you select your mode. You've got a couple of different settings. These affect the way that items operate in the game. This one gives you more mutation alters, but you increase the... So, sorry, actually this one is tethered to no food. So whether or not you play the game with food, this is a resource management situation where if you choose to play the game with food, you have to manage the hunger of your units, and each unit eats a food whenever you take a move on the map. There's a map traversal kind of a system. And at first I thought that was going to be really, really interesting. And it turned out to be a massive disappointment. Some players love it. Players have, a lot of players have kind of like bristled at my disdain for it because they think it adds a layer of tactical or strategic depth. But I think that the food movement follows a couple of low-level heuristics, like, so you're balancing your hunger against like movement, map traversal, and there's a hunger system that involves like bars of hunger, and once you realize how it works, there really are only a couple of choices, like legitimate choices that you make throughout the game regarding map traversal, and everything else should be like an obviously optimal decision. So the result is that it's kind of a grueling chore. There's a lot that you have to do to manage food. There's a lot that you have to do to manage your food throughout the game, but the food management decisions themselves are relatively obvious, and they just leave you room to make mistakes, generally, which is not a very fun dynamic, especially because those mistakes aren't specifically easy to make. Like, it's not like if you give some thought to the situation, you don't typically evaluate in the wrong direction. So, anyway, most players play no food. A lot of players claim that this is because no food is optimal for economy. I don't believe that that's entirely true. Or at the very least, it's not obviously true. It is true that in the early game, you can get up to 200 tokens, which is the maximum amount to receive interest earlier, because it is easier in the early game. But I think later on in floors you get more econ for less. So anyway, this is my starting loadout. I could have changed it. There are several starting loadouts. I like this one. It's called Cosplay. Starts you with a tier 3 healer and a tier 3 sword guy. You can see the tiers, the items here. These are low tier to high tier, and these are the odds that you get this at a given shop. You can upgrade your shop to upgrade the odds, just like in Teamfight Tactics, for anybody that has played that. There's also a long list of mutations and when they can show up. So it's not just when they can show up, but when they are added to the overall mutation pool. So as you move further down in the floors, your mutation pool becomes more and more cluttered. This is a huge problem because very important mutations such as evasion, snake agility, speed magic, stunning beauty, extremely powerful, like critical strike, stuff, thorns. These are in the mutation pool from the very beginning of the game. And they become nearly impossible to see once you're on floor 9 if you haven't already seen them. It's just very unlikely, I guess, that you're going to see them, is how I should say it. And so you really want to get your good mutations early. This little lever that you see me toggling in the back here determines what quest will appear on the next floor. There are 3 of these. They're on floors 1, 5, and 9. Today, we're going to be trying to run a shooter comp. And typically when I do this, I run heals just in case I decide that I want remote heals. I typically don't. You get to choose a button here. You can have 2 buttons. There's slots down here. Typically, Archive Newbies is the one to take in no food because newbies can wind up costing 10 gold. And so Archive Newbies is the equivalent of seeing 30 gold, effectively. So you can speed up the game here, which I will do. Unfortunately, and one of the biggest mistakes that this game has made is that that you cannot speed it up beyond 2x. Hey, Electrus, how's it going? Electrus is one of the best players in the game and probably my favorite of all the GM players. They play a variety of builds, and they are experimental with their approach to the game. And beyond that, they also manage to take first repeatedly many times, and I expect them to point out some of the mistakes that I'm making if they choose to hang around. I'm sure that I don't make a great many mistakes at this point. Here, I will. It doesn't matter if I choose to hang on to this or not, because taking it, like this is a single mutation altar. It's actually also one of the I would consider one of the obvious mistakes, design-wise. This is clearly designed to force players to react to what they see, but I don't think that reacting to what you see is necessarily any more reliable than not reacting to what you see, even if you get 2 fairly important mutations early on. I probably should have gone to this altar first, although honestly not that important. I'm not going to flex here. I'm going to go shooters. So what I like to do here is grab a low-cost healer, grab a puny human to put them on. You want to check the names of your guys, because if they are named V, it's pretty bad. It can trigger an event that effectively kills the guy named V and benefits you none at all. So it is always bad to have a V on your team, because that event will take the place of another event that could have been very positive. Although it's not guaranteed to be positive. You can always just get the Sub-Zero event. Let's roll these here, because there's not really a whole... Okay. We'll take... I think I can take Riffraff out of the pool at this point. Riffraff is one of those very common universal mutations that you want for shooters. Always. So here's the tier 2 healer. So I'll take the tier 2 healer, and I will buy another human named Lena to put them on. I'm not going to use my Archive Newbie button that I took yet, because as you purchase humans, the human price increases, and so it actually increases based on the number of units on your board, strangely enough. Another thing that I wonder why they did it that way. And so I will try to have the maximum newbie cost from the shop achieved before I use my Archive Newbies button in order to maximize my economy. I'm going to try to move through this run relatively quickly because I've got a couple of other things to do today. So here, the reroll button's kind of the obvious pickup. If you had Faster Than Bullets, Destroyer might be an option, but it's really not the thing. I was checking to see if I could, if I saw a Deja Vu there. Sometimes I like to check the boss so that I can put a Deja Vu on the floor and roll down to reroll. So these are just faster than light style events, which I have a serious problem with, both that as a design paradigm and how they've chosen to implement it here in particular, because like it's specifically egregious that they choose, for instance, to implement events that are have purely negative or purely positive results. It's like nobody ever, for instance, wants to see wants to see an event that robs them of 30 tokens when they could have gained 30 tokens. Yeah, that's a very lucky event to see early. 30 tokens is huge. So fast reload is all right. It's one of those that like you can you can take it safely out of the mutation pool. It does not help in particular with shooters though. And so while I am on these low floors where my mutation pool is smaller and I'm likely to see something really good for shooters, I'm kind of inclined to roll past it to check for other stuff. That can get you screwed because you can very easily wind up dead drawing on like your last mutation altar. We'll check the shop just to see what's going on. It's actually pretty... So the way that I like to run this is to pick up a couple of tricksters early, because they will carry you for most of the early game, and you're going to want them anyway for your late game shooters. There is a mutation called Most Dexterous that shares some evasion with the entire party based on how many shooters you have. So it is their class level multiplied by 3. I believe that it results in 12% evasion for the entire team that is not tricksters, and I don't believe it applies to the tricksters themselves. Here, I'm actually somewhat divided typically, because you can get a couple of solid... Hey, Strider, how's it going, man? You can get a couple of solid... This is Despots. Welcome to it. You're in the middle of the run, so this is going to be very confusing, but I hope you enjoy anyway. You can get Remote Heal, and Remote Heal does help healers to apply things like the attack damage pill, which I like to take out of the pool, and if I see on sale... if I see on sale halos on floor 7, I like to pick them up. So this I'm actually not sure which is the better option, all things told, but if I take the tokens, it is much easier to econ efficiently. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go do this last... shop. I'm going to do this mutation altar over here. Okay, nothing there that I want. I'm going to do this last mutation altar, and then I'm going to go do the boss. And the reason I'm going to go do the boss is to put a Deja Vu button on the floor, if there is one there. Actually, that's two relatively good mutations. However, I will actually roll down if a Deja Vu lands on the floor. And I'll explain that in a minute. The reason why, so if I put a Deja Vu here on the floor, like if this boss drops a, so there's no Deja Vu button here, there is an Archive Newbies button, and I will actually take that despite my not having maxed out the newbies yet. If I put a Deja Vu button on the floor there, what I can do is I can pick it up and then go roll down all the way, hoping to see something really rare and powerful, like crit, for example. This is almost worth rolling down despite... Yeah, see. This is... We're now getting frisky. Wouldn't it be nice if that were for shooters, huh? The yellow icon, it shares a color with shooters. They're both yellow, shooters and throwers, and so it gets me excited whenever I see like something for throwers that I would like to... Oh, time to ban this guy. Let's see. How do we do this? I don't even know. Oh, there we go. Timeouts. This user has not been timed out in this channel. I don't know how to do it, though. Turn on shield mode. I don't want shield mode. I just want to ban this guy. Oh, there we go. I found it. Just took me looking for a minute. Faster than bullets is great, but it sometimes you can run into situations where you are like overspending when you wouldn't otherwise. I'll hold the archive newbies button in this case because I went and spent my rerolls. So we're almost to more altars. Can't quite get it now, which would be very early, but getting it next floor is always important. So one thing that I do like to do is, see, this is the Sub-Zero event. So if I choose down forward A, then I'm rewarded with mages have like a slow. It's just a reference to Sub-Zero, obviously, but that event is useless for me. It's very sad. One thing I do like to do is get tolerance in order to make it to more altars here, because that will allow me to spec life on floor 5, and speccing life on floor 5 is pretty important. Otherwise, the firefighter mobs at the altars will occasionally wind up one-shotting certain low health kinds of units, like the backpack man here. Let's see. So what I would like to do here, I'm probably going to make faster than bullets on this floor, because having the T-Tricksters really goes a long ways. Let's see. We'll do the shop first, since I have plenty of cash. I actually want to spend on my altars so that I don't forget, though. The feeling of forgetting to upgrade the extra altar, because what that mutation does is it puts another altar room on every subsequent floor, and you can get it as early as floor 3, and if you don't spec it immediately on floor 3, then what happens is that you miss out on an altar. Alright, so like I said, so we got, what I like to do here is I look at the mutations, and if they show up if they are a multi-class mutation, you are not technically blocking anything out of the pool by taking them out of the pool. So second chance and reinforcements here are multi-class mutations. So there's really only one block here, which is Sword Dance. Sword Dance is a class-unique mutation. And so I tend to roll down altars in order from least class-unique mutations to most class-unique mutations in order to have blocked more out of the pool. And this is just a very minor way for me to... I think I'm actually going to get this. Is just a very minor way for me to manipulate the RNG. Making sure to check for V the entire time. Because if you spawn a tiny human named V, you want to feed him to the machine as quickly as possible. So how many unique mutations do we have here? This is 1, and that's it. So they both have 1, so it doesn't matter which I roll down first. Here, I still need a couple of mutations to get interest, which I'm going to want on floor... the next floor on floor 4. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and spec weighted dice, I think. Although there's not really much purpose to speccing weighted dice in particular. I can spec attack speed because I want attack speed eventually, and it only costs 20. I can spec sail because it only costs 20. We actually will just spec all of these because these are the ones I'm going to want to spec anyway. You learned lock mutation strat fast. I played a lot last season. I think people seriously underestimate. So, okay, so there's a deja vu on the floor here. Now, what that means from my perspective is that I think I'm gonna use the Archive Newbies button here, Willie, Andy, and Scott. I'll pick up the Deja Vu, and I'm just gonna roll as far down as possible to see. what we can find. Imposter is technically very valuable because it causes one trickster to jump behind the enemy line, and that can effectively turn an entire line of mages or shooters backwards for however long it takes them to kill that trickster. So this is 2 uniques here, which means that I roll the next altar down. This is 1, 2, 3 uniques, and nothing that we want, so we go and roll the other one down until it is empty or at 3. There's Shooter Resurrection, which is nice. I could hold that if I wanted to. Stunning Beauty, but for healers. There's Penetrating Shots. So we like Penetrating Shots, and we like Stunning, and we like Resurrection. But what we will do is we will roll down just in case. Multicast is actually quite good, and I think it's better than Resurrection in this case. Now, what would happen is, if I hadn't seen something better than Resurrection, I would have deja vu'd, repeated the process, and then taken Resurrection instead. For now, what I can do is I can hold my deja vu for potentially deleterious events like the arena event and roll them back if they don't work out. So here I can't spec interest just yet, but we are doing pretty decent on econ. I like to wind up with like around 150 plus gold. The Harkbus is very interesting on this floor because the Harkbus is so incredibly squishy that, like, it's almost not worth having him on the field. But I can use it to heal this guy, and it will give everybody a few points of attack speed. It'll give everybody 20% attack speed because that is the shooter class bonus. So if you have 2 shooters, you get 20% attack speed. Oh, 15. Never mind. If you have 3, you get 30, 4, 50, and 5 different shooters results in 70% attack speed and so on. We're going to go ahead and move at this point. I think Resurrect is a lot valuable with shooters. So the problem with Resurrect for shooters, right, and I agree that it's valuable, is that I have been running shooters in a very particular way, and it's been more potent than any other shooters that I've seen. Shooters are obviously unpopular at the moment. So you're gonna see my approach here is perhaps going to be a little different from anybody else's that play shooters. And I think that the value of shooters is that they can open up and hit the entire enemy lineup for the first second of combat, where no other lineup really does that. Lots of lineups wind up spending time casting spells and whatnot. So I'm not even going to get a point in mana regen if I can avoid it. This is because, well, number one, I feel that it's relatively unnecessary. So this helps me speed things up a little bit, and I can take it in an emergency situation. Sweet pill. The thing that I've been trying to do with shooters is to roll a theoretical maximum run, which is like if I found every mutation that I wanted to. I think that shooters are some of the strongest crack in the game, really. Like, if you roll everything like crit and you get the prosthetic eyes event and you get blitz and you get Herculean might and you get pod nuts and you get all of that. I think that a team of shooters is like nigh unbeatable because they open up with so much damage that it's almost uncontestable. More time for shooters and final gift. See, I'm not going to take Kalids. If I take Kalids, then my shooters will stand around for 0.5 seconds, which is how long the cast animation takes. Casting Kalids at the start of the fight, when what I want is for them to... See, now this is interesting because Octoboss is actually going to be relatively hard for this lineup. Octoboss is the floor boss here. And so I have a choice, because I can spec my interest, and I'm at 149, which means I'll be at like 170 when I beat Octoboss. But Octoboss will probably kill these 2 newbies. Or I can spec like a point of defense or something like that to make this fight easier. I don't think I should. A point of health wouldn't hurt as much. And it would definitely make the fight easier. I think that I can take the fight without speccing anything. I want to take the fight before I go to roll, though, because, again, I can use the Deja Vu trick if it's there. So good luck me. Tricksters are kind of nice for this fight because they will dodge occasionally. But my newbies are probably going to die. We'll see. Because at some point your healers run out of mana during this fight, and it just depends on how quickly. Yeah, see, they're out. That guy's dead. Okay, so at least I only lost one. Calculated loss, I guess. I'm gonna pop my archive newbies here, and this Deja Vu right here. What I'll do is I'll go and roll these down to a safe spot. So I like that, and I can take it if I don't see anything else. Here we have weighted dice, which I like, and I can take if I don't see anything else. Over here we have, you know, random sparks. Actually, I'll take random sparks if I don't see anything else. So we'll just pick up this Deja Vu. It's the bottom Deja Vu. And now I'm just going to roll down to see if I get anything really cool. Nothing there. I should have rolled them down evenly. There's Shooter Vampirism. That's very nice. Sweet pill again. Final Gift, which Lectress would probably... Lectress is probably side-eyeing me for not wanting to take that. This is funny because I can now take this again if I want to. We'll take this because I can produce a sacrifice for floor 7. Here I'll take random sparks, I think. I bet that I can roll into vampirism if I simply roll enough times on a different altar. I think that is how the mutations stuff works. So roll 2 there, and then if I roll down at this, I think I'll see vampirism again. I am not 100% clear on how the mutation rerolls function, but... Come on. Nope, really? Okay, well then. Screwed myself. It's vampirism, but for tricksters this time. I think what happens actually, and now that I've actually done that twice now. So this will set me back here. We'll pick up the. This time I'm gonna go with the Deja Vu, and I'm just gonna go ahead and walk with the safe mutations at this point, because I think what happens is that you can get infinite Deja Vu buttons. Yes. Did I turn you on to some new tech, Electris? I'm no slouch. As a gamer, I am no slouch. I actually tend to drift from community to community playing games and competing within the top, I want to say the top 1% of players. So this is not I'm surely no slouch, and I would be rather disappointed in myself if I couldn't introduce players to at least some interesting stuff. So we're gonna go flat here, and we're gonna go health there because that protects us from this altar dude. And I think I might actually even spec a point of magic defense early here. It feels like overkill, but this newbie is at half health, and I don't want him to die to a... this guy throws his backpack and deals 400 magic damage. And that won't even tickle my guys now that I've spec'd all of that stuff. But it can murder your guys from full health if you don't have the proper kind of magic defense. I really need to go down to the shop right now and try to see some more tricksters. effectively. So we've got, what, 1, 2 uniques here, 1 unique there. So we roll the left one first in any case. Random Sparks is bad for non-magic teams, and mostly I'm taking it to stuff it because it's such a common pull. Get stunned by magic armor. Well, the thing is that I'm unlikely to be casting any spells. It was really a take to remove it from the pool. 95% of this is really good. 95% of my units should be casting nothing, and I guess I will have a couple of healers at the end of the game, which may be stunned by Magic Mirror, like you're saying. However, on these shooter builds, I always 100% of the time spec 100% status resistant chance. Because in particular, shooters suffer from... you cannot beat magic teams with full board shooters if you don't, because you'll just get blinded. That is what I have discovered. Like, you absolutely can't beat them. I've gone up against many of them. I probably did 50 shooter runs last season. And the best roll that I got on the best luck that I had wound up like sitting firmly at 6th for like almost the entire season. So it's possible to have infinite deja vu, but then in theory it's possible to check all chances on the mutation altars. Yeah, I think so. I think I probably could have spent more time doing that. I'm trying to strike a balance at the moment between playing for, like, playing thoroughly and playing for speed. Because I actually am kind of on a deadline here. I've got an appointment in about an hour. So this is interesting. I have a crossbow that I can buy at some point. I'm tempted to roll for it. Well, there's a defibrillator, and this guy will help for the time. But it's rather expensive, honestly. I think we're gonna wait. I think it's okay to have spent 2 gold there. Yeah. If you have 2 deja vu buttons, you can just but you have to pick up a deja vu button at the boss effectively. Like, you have to have one in your inventory and then pick one up from the boss, because it will then reset you to the moment where you last picked up the deja vu button. It's just how it's coded. Okay, so wait, there was one here. What is this? This is 0. So at this point, I'm not even going to make faster than bullets this floor. And I need to remember this is floor 5, so I want to go and set my lever. I actually don't like the ricochet because it decreases the damage too much. I will take, I'll probably set the Trickster quest. And I'm gonna, oh, this might actually be kind of frisky. I think he might end up killing my, yeah, he's gonna kill my swordsman potentially. It's gonna be very close in any case. Maybe not. I think I got him. There we go. Okay, so we did not get a deja vu here, which is fine. I actually think I've got 2 floors. I've got next floor as well. But I think the right move here, rather than grabbing Archive Newbies, is actually to grab Reroll, because I am doing a mutation, a Curse of Mutations run, which means that I am going to need to reroll my curses if I don't have them. I'm going to select Trickster because it's the easiest quest to complete, and then we're going to roll these down. I want to roll this altar first because it's got 0 unique mutations. And then we'll kind of bounce around and do them one at a time. There's 1, and I don't hate overheal. Not a huge fan, but this is 2, this is 1. Mana pill. What is this? 1, 2. And this is 3. So we'll go ahead and roll this guy up here. This little chore, I think, is pretty painful, honestly. Like the running back and forth to various altars to roll optimally, and it's one of those things where it's obviously optimal the moment you realize how it works. It's just 1 here. It's obviously optimal the moment you realize how it works, but it's super painful and chore-like. There's a rain of bullets, but I don't want rain of bullets either. Oh, I think, give me a second, guys. Man. I don't have Twitch chat captured today. So for anybody watching the YouTube video, you're basically SOL on this. People are going to be talking in chat potentially, and you're not going to quite be able to see what they say. Maybe I'll read it out loud as I respond. But I can't go ahead and set it up because it would constitute a pretty massive interruption. Wow. So, getting screwed on mutation lock here. Compensation isn't terrible. It's not great. I do not want to spend rerolls here because... So I'll take Thrill of Battle even though it's not very good. I don't want to spend rerolls here because I'm going to be going to floor 7 soon, and on floor 7 you have to be able to reroll your curse mutations. It takes Sticky Blood. Pretty bad mutation luck so far, which is fine. It happens. The attack damage will speed up my run pretty considerably as I go down to floor 6 here. It's probably what I'm going to do. So here's the ideal. So we have to... Oh good, we got the 30 extra damage on attacks on the first try. That is actually... So that's one of those events that's just... It's two 50-50s. If you... And it sets them at the B... like, it sets them based on your seed, so... If I choose Let's Go Babies, or Let's Go Baby, it can blind my shooters, which causes them to be melee and ruins my entire run. Like 100% just murders your run. Or you can... and it gives you 30 tokens. I actually have been using that on builds that deal magic damage, where I'll get like a Punisher with Soul Destruction. And I will choose I'll take the ideal. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my shops here, and I'm going to spec attack damage just because it makes things so much smoother. This guy I'm going to put back here so that the healers get to him before he gets to the enemies. Plasma gun. I'm mostly doing this to make sure that this one newbie here doesn't get murked too hard. This guy can now go back out in front. He doesn't have to be that far in front. And what we're going to do is... I'll go up to see what this mutation altar is all about. So my thing with shooters is that all of the manual casts cost them, let's say, a 0.5 second cast animation. That's 0.5 seconds when they could be shooting, and if you have all of the damage and attack speed upgrades for shooters, shooters attack at 2.25 attacks per second. And that is assuming that they didn't get sweet pilled by a healer, for example, at which point they could be attacking faster. Crossbows are by far the most per capita stat efficient item for shooters. Far and away. Arquebuses don't even increase their own HP as they level. And as you kill monsters, you gain experience, and your guys can level up. Most of my guys should be, what, like level 3 or 4 at this point? Yeah, all level 4 pretty much. And so their stats max out at 5. Now, I think what should happen to the high intelligence mutations that everybody hates is that I think that high intelligence should increase the maximum level of your units, which would be completely trivial to implement on a technical level. And it would actually give people some kind of incentive to pick those up. Oh yeah, I'd love some coffee. Absolutely. This is great because it's locking down both Rain of Bullets and Kalids, neither of which I want. If you spend 0.5 seconds casting Kalids at the start of the fight, and yes, I'm aware that Kalids can allow you to do things like, for example, beat Mega Newbie as a shooter comp. I think you would rather rely on Bash to beat Mega Newbie. If you got like a theoretically maximum shooter team, and people have been arguing with me about this for a long time, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to test it because I don't know if I will ever get another team with both Bash and maximum attack speed on shooters where I get 43 Arbalists. But you love this idea? Oh, the high intelligence. There's Herculean Power. That is one of the best possible mutations that I could find. I'm probably not rerolling. Thank you so much for the coffee, Elizabeth. You're a hero. That is my famed and beloved girlfriend. Grabbing me some coffee because she's excellent and knows that it would be interruptive for me to get up and go get it myself at the moment. I will have to find something nice to do for her a little later on. I did not know until recently that this guy puts a curse on your units that inverts healing. I discovered on a healer run and was very sad when one of my guys just popped instantly because I didn't have purification on my heals. This is very interesting because I would actually kind of like to have this reroll button going down, but now I can't because I would just have to deja vu and repeat the whole floor. And while I would maybe do that if I were doing a run off stream, I'm certainly not going to do it now and force you guys to watch me do the entire floor again. But I do want to talk about how that is probably the optimal strategy. Valor is not something I want here because I want the maximum number of shooters. What I can do is I can use the reroll button to roll down. Poison Skin is like fine, but it's really kind of, frankly, it's kind of worthless for this build because I won't be getting any Topichlorians. Okay, time to use my reroll buttons. There we go. Acid Bullets is great. Now, if I could get Armor Wrecking over here, which is considerably harder to find because it is not a class, it is not a one-off. So here I can take any of these because they are all unique, and my preference is to take, because I like having a clean mutation pool, my preference here is to take the Summon, because later on, if I dead draw and I'm forced to choose between something and Summoned Tomato, I will probably choose Summoned Tomato because it's not worthless. A healer run would certainly be the place to find that out. I know, right? And healers in this game, you can invert their healing so that they can be magic damaged healers. I'm glad you like the idea about high intelligence, Electris. I'm working on a post because I run a blog, and I'm going to put together a post. It's going to be titled How to Fix Despots, which is, I'm sure, going to be the most contentious possible thing. Hypochondria plus Tricksters plus Vengefulness healers. That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that because they will all lump up. One thing that I am wondering is what the AI behavior is for Hypochondria in general, because I've seen that units that don't have abilities will just go and stand next to a healer pointlessly, which is very sad. But if they have abilities, will they continue to cast them, I wonder? That's something that I've actually been wondering. I know they won't attack. Like, they won't attack even if they're approached, but I wonder if they will cast abilities. This is Potonets, which is one of the best events I could get here, so I've got both the attack bonus from the event and Herculean power. If I see Blitz, this becomes a really, really good run, but in order for it to actually be, like, for it to be that good, like, for it to be very, very good, I would also have to see something like crit. Bash would help. Slowing attacks is great. Stuff like that. So we're looking at this. What are we thinking here? This is where I typically spec Sail. And usually I will wait until my final shop. But it actually doesn't matter, like, precisely when you do this, and I think that I'm going to have trouble with this floor if I don't roll now, so I could pick up this whip, but here's the thing, is that I don't need to because I'm likely to see it on sale at some point because I need, let's see, we have to break out the calculator, guys. We've got 12 units and 2 items, and I've got actually 2 of those units are useless units that I don't want, right? Let me look at this. No, it's actually not. It's just the 1. So, because I'll keep the healers. They're not that worthless. I very rarely ditch my healers. Sometimes I do. Depends on what I see. Because, like, throwing an angel in the front is actually quite good. Even a couple of them is actually quite good, especially if you see something like Vengefulness on healers. Can be really good for these runs. So anyway, we're just going to go with 11. I have 11 units plus 2 items. So that's 13 total right now. Minus 49 gives me 36 items that I need to get. Max damage on shooters. I'm trying to think. No, you need crit. I feel like crit counts as a raw damage modifier, but I do have prosthetics, Herculean, and Potonets. That's pretty good. It's definitely the start of a decent run. So I'm going to roll here, and any time that I see any gun on sale or I see a crossbow, I will be picking it up. If I see something else that I happen to need on sale, I will also be picking that up, and I'm going to be doing that until I get to 36. So that was 2 items, so that's 1, 2. This requires a little bit of concentration, so I may avoid Twitch chat for a second. Three. That's, yeah, 3. 4. It's a nice pickup. Already have him. 5. 6. 7. 8, 9. 10. 11. 12. 'Oh, no. I'm actually going to deja vu that. I think. Sorry, guys. That was hard. 1, 2. Okay, so we're just rolling now. 3, 4. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, Game is being very rude to me. 18, 19, 20, less rude. 21, 22. Okay, and this is where we're going to stop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy a couple of newbies. I have to make sure they're not V. I'm going to put down the shooters that I do not have. I already have a sucker gun, actually. So what is this, 5 out of 5? Excellent. And then I'm going to put down the healers that I don't have. Vera, Anastasia, so the tricksters that I don't have go right there. I have 5 tricksters now. Victoria and Dorothy. Oops. Put out one too many guys. This guy can go up front. I'll put out one extra Punisher. So the idea here is that now this floor is going to be relatively easy to clear out. And I will be able to, at the end of the floor, we're going to try to save a shop for the end of the floor. So we do not traverse over a shop unless it forces us to, which is, again, kind of... There are a lot of play patterns that are obviously optimal in this game that could have been identified by the devs and made into less of a chore. I'm not sure if that one is one in particular, but you could certainly make the map logic on floor 7 favor edges for shop locations, and that would help a lot. Alright, so this is a very strange kind of thing that we have to do here, because we have to not take any... Look at the soul destruction when I don't need it for shooters. Here's what we're going to do. So this, I can finally sacrifice my Chainsaw Man. It doesn't matter at all whether I sacrifice him earlier or not, because he's not really contributing to my clear speed like he used to. So, and with any luck, I could get FTB on this floor, but it might not happen. Like the faster than bullets bonus. Actually, that is something funny that I want to point out. A lot of the text descriptions in this game are extremely misleading, and this is one of the ones that got me really hard. So Faster Than Bullet says, get 10 or 5 tokens at the end of a level if you manage to win all the fights in 60 or 100 seconds accordingly. It gives you this timer up here so that you can see that. I like that very much. And then it has the sentence that says, mutations will take effect on the next level after you get them, which I was absolutely sure meant that all mutations that you get at that point would take effect one floor after you pick them up, which I thought was a drawback to the obviously good Faster Than Bullets. What will I do with the healers after Despot? I don't know if, like... I don't sell them because they are a good place. Like, you get a lot of dead draws in this game. Like, you just roll down your altars and can't pick anything. And generally, like, there are a lot of healer uniques that flood the pool. And so I would just pick up the heal. I prioritize picking up the healer uniques as dead draws. So when you get, like, Sweet Pill, the attack damage pill, that sort of thing. Plus, what I'll do is if I dead draw into, like, a Vengeance, the healers help a lot there as well, like if you do like healer vengeance. So you can just, and I can't remember whether it's vengeance or vengefulness, but I think it's vengeance that causes it to do like in a small area around them plus 80 damage, and you just distribute your healers so that the plus 80 damage is relatively well distributed. There we go, this is excellent. Because what I can do here is buy a newbie, and he says his name is Lucky, but he's going in the pit, man. So now what we do is we have a shop here that we can hold. So I'll come over to this curse area. Oh, shit, I think... Was I at 21 on the items? I'll have to recalculate. This is Curse of Mutations. That's fantastic, because I've got all 3 of these done. I do not take Curse of Mutations yet. Dear God, I've done that before. I go and I do my final shop, and then I take Curse of Mutations before rolling my altars. It's a very particular order. If you don't get it right, it's very sad. Very sad. Because Curse of Mutations makes everything in your shops cost double, but gives you an extra mutation that you can pick up at every altar. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to count out my items real quick. Come on, can you kill them in less time? Yes, we got it. Got the extra 10 from Faster Than Bolts. That's excellent, by the skin of my teeth. So we're going to count these. We've got 17. I got to get my calculator up here again. We got 17 dudes. And we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16. So 11 plus 16 is 33 minus 49 gives us 16 more guys that I need. I am sans 16 men. So here we're just going to do the thing that we were doing earlier and roll for crossbows. I used to call them arbalists because the Steam Epic quest calls them arbalist. And it misled me and I was sad. There's 1, and out of what? 16? 2, 3, 4. 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 'Tempting. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. All right, yeah. So about the healers, I pick up Halos on sale as well because they are such unbelievably good tanks. Like, they are hugely distracting for a lot of comps if you just stick them in the front line. And since you don't need your shooters to be in the front line, I find that works really, really well. Having a couple of extra Angels Halos does not hurt me. So now I take Curse of Mutations and I go and I roll. So that way that we get extra mutations. So we've got 2 uniques here. Got 3 there. We've got none here. So we'll roll here. So that's 1, 2. Purification is another one of those that I will like prioritize on a dead draw. That's 3. So come up here. That's 3, and at some point I need to get I'm trying to remember what mutation. Oh, Imposter was what I was going to say. I need to get Imposter. Because comps that... This is so sad. Goodness gracious. I'll take Valor just to get it out of the pool. Honestly, at this point, I might just... Like, this is 2... Gotta roll this last one in any case. Yeah, see, wow, we're just dead drawing, man. At this point, I'll actually spec the 30 gold here required because I wasn't getting much interest anyway. There we go. U-Thought is extremely valuable. U-Thought is my least favorite mutation in the game. I absolutely hate the way that... So I'll take Delayed Pain here, and then I'll try to re-roll, actually. Final Aid is... I'm just going to take Final Aid first. I absolutely hate U-Thought. I hate it so much. There's not even a unique mutation to take here. That is so irritating. It doesn't reduce the pool. It makes me very sad. Is there one that I would like to see for my shooters? Not really, but I guess explosive attacks would be better than nothing. So I'll take the shooter explosive attack. This is malarkey. What a terrible set of rolls. We'll take U-Thought here, and this is unique, so we'll take it out of the pool. What a bunch of dog, man. Okay, so nothing that needs specking before descent. We descend, we get a tiny little bit of interest. But that is the price that you pay for mutations, honestly, is that you, like Curse of Mutations. So there's nothing really that I need here. I could put a couple of Punishers on the field just to, like, Natasha, Willie, and Willie. This just makes sure that I get the faster than bullets for this floor. Super Punch for throwers. That is excellent if you have human throwing because they tend to cast it before human throwing. And then your human throwing throwers with like, what, 2 or 3x attack, which then is multiplied by Topic Clarions. Alright, so obviously we ignore shops from now on. We are trying real hard to see like every epic shooter mutation from here on out is basically the rub. And this is probably the least appealing part about Despots, is that you are kind of like ruthlessly subject to a lot of RNG that doesn't feel good in this game. It's like I'm playing relatively clean. Probably I'm playing at a top 1% kind of a level at all of the various mitigation tactics that I'm utilizing, but it's still, you're subject to a lot of RNG even at the best level of play. And if that weren't enough, you're also subject to the RNG of matchmaking, which is done via binary search within your league. So like in all of Grandmasters, you'll get subject to a binary search matchmaking. So you like play the 50th guy first if there's 100. And then you'll play like the 25th if you've won, and then you'll play the 75th if you've lost. 75th. That's right, 75th. I am actually, if I had used my destroyer like I should have, I think I actually missed Faster Than Bullets because I didn't use my destroyer, which is kind of sad. Tester, Melon, 15 tokens, thanks. There was no deja vu there, so there was no option. I basically chose the least of the bad options. Lesser of two evils. We've got, this is really just one unique, just Spirit Healing, which is like the least desirable of all of the healer unique mutations for me, because I do not cast spells. Got one here. Oh, there was two. Trickster Thorns before Delayed Pain. So yeah, it's 2x damage. There's 1 tooth. Actually, that's 3. I'll take Trickster Thorns, even though it's kind of sad just to hold it, because I've got the Curse of Mutations going. Here is 1. I should go roll the other one before I roll these. What's strange is Despots is like the closest thing that, you know, I'll take Purifier at this point just to hold it. Despots is probably the closest to, I'm working on an auto battler for myself. There we go, splash damage. And Despots is among the, like, is probably the closest candidate to exactly what I think that an auto battler should look like. Oh, you need to go? Okay. Good luck, Electrus. Hope you have a good day. But there are so many chores. Oh, there's Crit Strike. It's beginning to look like a good run, after all. So we'll take Crit Strike, and we will continue to roll down here. Yeah, there we go. Intimidation. That's fantastic. So we'll go and roll this altar before we move on. So that was the best floor of the game by a lot. So far. We got crit, we got intimidate, we got now this is curious. Fully waxed Hillary Clinton. Hi, I remember you. Remind me, were you a Cyrilem? Was that the one that you were showing up for initially? Overheal, I think, is the one that I'm going to take here. And we're just going to go ahead. I descend now to collect maximum interest. But in the interest of acquiring this one, this is another one of those 50/50s. I can get move speed, or Vera can throw up. That's what happens. The number of mutations here, events here that are just like either you win or you lose is abysmal. Is my grandpa doing okay? Yeah. Yeah. Ken's doing fine. I'm gonna have to go and help him in a bit, but so this lever that chooses the next quest, you don't want the sword one because you can mess that up. The thrower one requires you to go out of your way. If you are gonna take the tokens, the fighter one is the best option almost universally. So we're gonna buy a couple of newbies. We make sure that their names are not L or not L, but not V. And we're gonna put out our guns in order of like highest tier to lowest. And this is just, again, this is just to ensure that we're clearing fast in the interest of making sure that we get FTB bonus, the faster than bullets mutation bonus. Thank you for asking, by the way. I'm always amazed that people remember the particulars of my life at all. And honestly, we could spec an attack bonus here. Like second level of attack bonus will be fine. That's just going to hasten things a bit in terms of like collecting the faster than bullets bonus reward for clearing in under 60. So if you watch the timer up here, probably these fights take me like, I don't know, 3 seconds-ish. So provided there's not a completely inordinate number of rooms. Now this is floor 9, which has the lever. And once you start to digest to these things and process them into like a whole heuristic, what you understand about despots is that whenever a lever shows up, the mutation pool expands. So there's a whole bunch of mutations suddenly in the mutation pool that are floor 9 to 12 that just got added in. So now I'm very much less likely to see like certain class-specific mutations, or I should say multi-class mutations that can show up on any class, like crit strike. Luckily, I got that last floor. I'm actually doing really well. The one major thing that I'm missing here. Can I actually get? I don't think that shooters can get Stunning Beauty. Oh, they can. Cool. So I could get Stunning Beauty. Don't have it. The one major mutation here that I could see that I haven't got yet is I could see Bash. Bash would be the major aggressive mutation that I haven't seen yet. Rerolls can be pretty valuable. At this point, I think I pick up a reroll so that I can roll on floor 11 for Archive Newbies. It's actually relatively important for me to get all of my units out by like floor 10 or 11 so that they have a chance to level up to maximum before the end of the game. I think that, but I could roll with Deja Vu here, which is very tempting, very, very tempting, because specifically because I want to get. Oh, there's the shooter attack speed. That's fantastic. I really want to see. That sucks. I really want to see spatial reasoning as one that can show up, that you want desperately to see on floor 9. I would almost be willing to spec just one unique. I would almost be willing to spec an extra point in mutation rerolls, despite it being very expensive at this point, just to try to see it. This is 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here, I'm going to take the effectiveness aura, which I know that I want. And we're going to try to roll down for... There's a tomato. I mentioned earlier that I'll probably take that out of the pool if it dead draws. There's spatial reasoning. That's fantastic. Have I even taken one from here yet? I haven't. So we will go ahead and re-roll this. So spatial reasoning on 9 is perhaps the single best mutation in the game, or it's at the very least the one that you want the most. So we'll take most dexterous as our final perk there. I should have rolled first. This was my mistake. And I don't want a dead draw here. So I may just take Mutato. Ha! I may just take Mutato. I may just take the tomato mutation there. Trickster's critting is also not useless, but I still haven't seen Blitz or Bash. Well, that's sad, because I could have taken something that wasn't worthless, and now I'm going to have to take something that is worthless. Such is the way of despots. So we'll take effective taunt in that case. Here we're going to take reroll, so that next next floor I will reroll the buttons, the boss buttons, if I do not see Archive Newbie, because it's very important now to see Archive Newbie. This only has one answer, and it gives you Harry Potter on your team, and I'm just going to kill him because I don't care. I really super duper don't care. How did I wind up with 2 defibrillators? I must have like gotten 2 on sale at one point. So that's the fighter quest, which means I can start the floor out quick by going here. This is just a gigantic god kind of creature that wants you to find. He's on a vegetarian diet. He's gone vegan, and he wants you to find him some leaves. We're going to increase attack speed. We're going to increase chance. And we'll increase chance again. And a point of health, just for shits. Just to begin to kind of model out the amount of money that I have for the end game. Because what happens is that you wind up with a certain amount of money going into the final boss fight, and you have to sort of fill out your mutations tree around that time, and I like to spend a little early to eyeball what I'm going to have, so that it's not such a shocker when I show up there and I only have like 400 gold left to spend, or 400 tokens. We are closing in on my time limit here for this run, so might have to pick up the pace a little bit. We don't need any shops anymore. Okay, all 3 of these are right next to each other, which helps. But I have to go and kill the boss to ensure that I don't have a deja vu sitting on the floor, which could be really nice. I mentioned earlier that explosive attacks could be okay, but it's mostly only okay if you are speccing Topichlorians or if you have Soul Destruction. It's definitely not a super desirable kind of it's not a super desirable kind of mutation for this build. You're not really dealing magic damage. You don't want to be dealing magic damage at all. So do we have the deja vu, which honestly here means that I think I roll, and then depending on what I see, I could take the pet vamp out, which like your tomato gets vamp, but that's it. It's really not very good. Slowing attack, I'll take that out. I'll go ahead and take the explosive attacks for shooters out. Trickster Vamp is a potential dead draw pick. Here we just want something useful. Please, anything useful. This minion attack node, I hate it, but I'll take it for the just to get it out of the pool so that I stop seeing it effectively. Imposter. Oops, I should have held that. Let's see if we get anything useful here. Nothing useful, which means that since I have an Archive Newbie button there already, what I will do is I will just roll these each once. Okay, that's borderline useless again. We'll take the tankiest since that is unique. Uh-oh, I should have kept that there for a second. See, I do mess up these things a little bit here and there, and I think, like, I don't know if, like, how big a deal that is really. Poison Sweat is... It's one of those things. It's like, because I'm not speccing Topichlorians, it's... Topichlorians, by the way, is the tree mutation that increases magic damage. So it's this thing, and it gets up to about 550 to 650% increased magic damage. So I'll take the Archive newbies at this point. And what we will do is we'll descend to get the interest going on first. Hopefully I didn't miss a V or anything. We'll ditch that. And the Fighter quest is the best because it allows you to turn it in on the next floor. So we'll use this Archive newbie button and we check for V. Then we buy some newbies. We got Natasha, Amiko, Dorothy, Vera, Victoria, Jane, Dorothy, Anastasia, Natasha, Alex, Zakar, Igor, Amiko, Dorothy, Jane, Nikolay, Alfina, and that's it. So now what I do is I put all of these, I just load these up onto my guys. I do this by control clicking, and now all of my guys are there, which is great. I put 2 tricksters in the back because they have dodge, which will protect them from other trickster imposters. And we walk up. And the reason I bought all my guys there is to ensure that they are all level 5 by the end of the game, because level 5 does increase the damage of these arbalists by a little bit. I called them arbalists, they're crossbows. The game tricked me at one point, and I will never be able to think of them as anything but arbalists, I'm sorry. So basically we're just clearing out the floors, and the game at this point is very autopilot in my opinion. There's not much to do other than continue to try to mitigate the RNG of mutation altars in the same way that I have been. You want to check the boss for a deja vu. You want to roll down altars in order of least uniques to most uniques, and you want to keep them relatively even for rerolls so that you can see more total mutations per game. Like, you just want to churn through the maximum number of mutations per game. So this is 3 uniques, which is excellent. It means that I can just leave that there to stuff for at least a round or 2. This is also 3 uniques. You kind of learn them at a glance eventually. It becomes pretty quick. There are only so many multi-class mutations. And the reason I believe that they appear to be more rare is because they're rolled first, and then the class that they belong to is rolled second. So anyway, this is 2 uniques, so we will roll this first. There's Shooter Bash. Wow. Okay, so this is now a fantastic run. Like, this is now very, very good. The thing that would make this unbelievably good would be if I found Blitz. Finding Blitz would be insane. Like, specifically, it would be nuts. So we kill the boss here looking for like a deja vu on the floor. No such thing, unfortunately. We will take the destroyer though, because it's kind of hard to clear the final floor in for FTB bonus. So anyway, where was that bash? I'm gonna take that and reroll to stuff. So there's not 2 here, it's just bash. Bash plus reroll. This is stuffing 3 again, so that's excellent. It's 3 uniques in there. We'll reroll this one. Actually, I want to keep this Kaled locked down for as long as possible because I hate Kaled. You can't use it on this build, and there we go. And that's Rain of Bullets, which is another thing I would love to just keep locked down, so we'll just roll here. If I saw Blitz, this would be an absolutely nuts run. It would be like almost borderline theoretical maximum. Come on, guys. We can do it. We can get like just 1 relevant mutation, right? We can get 1 relevant mutation. Is that too much to ask? Just anything? I'll get impenetrability for tricksters. That'll be great. So he the imposter trickster can cast impenetrability and not die instantly to shooter teams. Oh my goodness, stun for shooters. Don't want to misclick that. That's awful. So this was a giant bust. The question becomes at this point, right, in the game, it becomes like, do you want to spec 50 gold for one more reroll on each of those mutations? And because my mutations are already so good, my specific inclination is to say no. I'll get explosive attack there, last chance, just doesn't matter. Just stuffing those for those classes, but it doesn't even like take a unique out of the pool, so it's really not increasing my odds of seeing anything I want by all that much. Here we're just gonna jump down. So we're getting some interest here. This is, you just demand tokens from them and they give them to you. It's just a quest where you can either get 20 tokens, or if you don't know the answer in advance, you don't get 20 tokens. Another one of those very non-interactive, unrewarding piece of shit events. It's just bad design, and I'm sorry to rail on it so hard because I know that there are people who are going to interpret my being negative about certain aspects of this game to mean that I'm like shitting on something that they like, and that's just not the case. I really like Despots as well. I think it's very close to being a great game, but it's got some stuff in there like those events that is just, it's so unforgivably lazy for them to do that. So I want attack speed, tolerance, magic resistance all maxed, and I want like these 2 points of health to be as close to max as I can. We're going to get the attack speed here because it helps with clear speed and I'm still clearing. But we really want to save enough to max both magic resistance and status. Max both magic resistance and tolerance. It is extremely important to do that on these runs. And honestly, right now I'm doing pretty good. So how long do these take to clear? Pretty long. So we'll probably use a destroyer on one of these if I see that configuration again. Nope. This will take less time to clear because they're both in a line and there's just one big guy. I'm trying to save as much time as I can on the, yeah, we'll just clear that automatically. Okay, so that's 3 uniques. I forget how many uniques were over on this altar. At this stage of the game, it becomes kind of depressing trying to roll mutations because the mutations that you want are so few and far between, and the mutations in the pool, there are so many mutations in the pool. This game would really benefit tremendously, and I've said this a million times in the Despots Discord channel chat, right? But Despots is a game that would benefit tremendously from learning the lesson that other games within this genre have already sort of learned, where you need banishes and locks. So this is just 2, so we'll roll here. Nope. This is 1, so we'll roll again. Oh, there it is. Armor wrecking for shooters. That's fantastic. This is a good run. This is not just a good run. This is a really strong run. I will admit that right away. Silence is something that I take. You take it every time. I've been dying to see it. And the reason that you take silence is because you take silence and then you... Oh, we'll get you thought for tricksters. That's fine. You take silence because you're going to max status resist and chance for yourself, which means that your own units have like something like an 80% chance to resist that status at the start of the match. But at the start of the match, you will silence some number of units on the other side. And versus certain comps like mage comps, that is incredibly valuable for the 1 or 2 seconds. It's really 1 second. But just for the 1 second that you can be attacking the other comp, where some of their units are silenced, it's incredibly valuable. Okay, well that's sad. No blitz for me. There's blitz for tricksters specifically, but that's not really going to help me so much. Like, it's not bad because of Thrill of Battle, but like I would really honestly rather see something else. On this, on the other hand, like at this point, I'm tempted to just take it because, yep. So at this point, you just leave that stuff because like none of that helps my comp, and it's the last floor. So what is the point? I'll take it for tricksters. It's fine. It's whatever. Again, nothing there helps, so you just leave all of that nonsense on the floor. At this point, you go around and you clear the final floor, which gives you all of the tokens that you're going to have for the game, and then you're kind of committed to what you're doing. You bring your lineup to the boss, you fight the boss, and then you submit your comp to PvP. This is a fairly strong comp. It's going to do okay. The problem with this comp... Oh, sorry, that's my alarm. The problem with this comp is that it's not going to... it's not attacking fast enough. It's not only is it not attacking fast enough, but I didn't get any like vengeance for healers or anything like that. I got final word for tricksters, final aid for tricksters, which is not good enough. It's not the same. All right. Before I go into despots, I can spec anything related to damage that I have left to spec, which is actually nothing. I am at the maximum amount of damage output that I can, so I don't need to spec anything there. We'll just go in. See how quickly we can kill Despot. Probably not that fast. Yeah, that was pretty good. Okay, so this is good for a physical comp. Like, that's a good clear speed for a physical comp to clear Despot. So we're going to go ahead, and now we have to spec our mutations. Now, the first thing that I have to say is that you just have to spec magic res. You have to spec full magic res. If you're missing a point of magic resistance and you fight a mage team that has been put together by a competent player, you're just going to die in the first probably 5 seconds of the fight. Like, you will lose like half of your guys in the first second or so. And then I have to spec max tolerance here. The reasons I have to spec max tolerance are there's a couple of them. The first is that those same magic teams that I was talking about, they cast Mage Lightning and Mage Lightning chains, and they get Blinding Lightning. And Blinding Lightning says that your ranged units become melee, effectively. And so what happens is if you don't have max tolerance, so max tolerance gives you a 50% chance to avoid receiving negative status effect, right? This actually affects that, so what is it? Let's see, 50 times 1.6 gives you an 80% chance to avoid those status, the blind status, which is just enormous for fighting against mage comps. If all your guys become blind right away against a mage comp, you're just going to lose. They'll run in and you won't be able to do anything. So here I can spec a point of health, which takes 100 away from me. And then I can spec a point of armor bonus, and I think I'll end up specking a point of mana regen, right? Yeah, we'll spec mana regen, and I'll actually just spec another point of mana regen. And the reason that I will spec another point of mana regen is because, like, if the fight goes extended and my healers don't die, which is kind of an unlikely set of circumstances, let's be honest. So we want the healers up in front. This guy's going to disappear to the back line. We want them very badly to target the healers, those two healers there. So what we do is we've got our two low tier tricksters in the back ready to soak for imposter. One of our guys is going to go imposter. We can move the healers back a little bit. It depends. I kind of like them to sometimes be near-ish to the volleyers, because if they put attack damage on the volleyers, I've got Powerful Pill, right, which gives 40 to attack, and Sweet Pill. So if they were to put Sweet Pill and if they decide to put Sweet Pill and Powerful Pill on, and if they've got to cleanse somebody, I would like it to be the shooters, right? I believe that shooters can also get cleansing, which is kind of important. Although I have watched shooters just stand around blind and not cleanse themselves while attacking. And that is extremely obnoxious. Like, that's just bad AI programming. If you have cleanse and you have enough mana to use it and you're a shooter, the number one thing that you should be doing if you're blind is cleansing yourself. It is such an incredibly important thing for shooters to be doing that it's just offensive to me that my shooters stood around blind. So little pet peeving there. Sorry, guys. I'm going to move my healers around. I'll just distribute them. And the reason I will distribute them like this is because Well, I think these both stack, actually. This bonus stacks. This one doesn't. So if they're going to heal multiple guys, I would like them to, like, not overlap so that Sweet Pill can actually go on a unique unit every time. So this is about the best that I can do. This is about the best kind of setup that I can do. I roll down to 0 because you have Riffraff Fury, which is all units get plus 30 attack with fewer tokens than 10, so you make sure to roll down. And this is it. I'm just gonna put this team into PvP. So like I said, we get the binary sort. Right now there are only like 44 Grandmaster players, so we fight against the 22nd. And our shooters will go. Like half the guys will target this idiot imposter first. And look at how my guys are running in and being melee. That is why we spec max status resistance, so that some guys at least remain and don't go melee. Alright, time to fight against Malcolm. He's got fighters, and I think fighters are actually a pretty poor matchup against shooters, especially powerful shooters like this, because sharing all of the damage just means that your whole team dies pretty much instantly to shooters. There we go. So we've cleared Malcolm, which means that we are now at least 10th place. So top 10 achieved. Tachyon here. Tachyon is doing some weird shit with eggheads. Eggheads is another thing that, like, shooters is relatively good against. Oh no, they have thorns. And I don't have vampirism, but we'll see. It's still a relatively powerful team. Cool. So we've beat Tachyon, which means that we secured 4. Going to the shop to get some stuff, but have a good one. Okay. Good luck, Strider. Thank you for tuning in, man. Here's Mirrari. Mirrari is running something. I'm actually going to pause this. And for Malcolm's benefit, because Malcolm and I have been doing some stuff together here, I'm going to go ahead and snap Mirrari's build. For Malcolm. So I sent Malcolm screenshots of Mirrari's build because I know that he kind of wants he would love to have the kind of tactical advantage there, and knowing what their build is like. I think they're gonna kill me with these mages because I'm fucking melee. Yeah, look at that. Look at how obnoxious that is. Like, this is why Magic teams are the best teams in the game. Number one, you have to have, like, so I have maximum magic defense, right? And I have maximum, and I have U-Thought. No, I don't. Yeah, I do. I have U-Thought on shooters, right? So I am as equipped as I could be to beat this team. But because their team, it has, like, they don't actually, yeah, explosive, speed magic. So their team scales. Despite being a magic team that has, like, mostly upfront strength, their team scales into this ridiculous, like, machine gun explosive shit. And it knocks your people back and blinds them. It's kind of ridiculous. So this is tanks and eggheads. I think I will probably beat this team because the eggheads will all die instantly, and then I have crits, so the tanks can't actually do that much work to me. And see, that match versus Mirrari, right? That match, if you replayed it a dozen times, it probably goes like one way or the other a whole bunch, right? Like it could go in either direction. Oop, this one I might actually lose. This is Thorns, is what's happening to me, right? I'm sad because that was the closest I think I've gotten to top 3. But let's see what this guy is doing. Okay, so it's fencers. It's fencers with vamp, which is good for sustain. Like they got like, I see these mutations and it's like, this is probably the luckiest shooter run I've ever gotten. It's not quite theoretical maximum because I didn't get blitz, like, for example, but it's very close. So this is the best shooter run luck I've gotten all the times that I've played. I've probably played this like 60 times. But this team, like, these fencers are so incredibly stacked that it's unreal. They got steady footing, so they can't be knocked down. They got vampirism. I don't think this is the quest one. They got crit, they got blitz, they got blue pill, which could have actually helped me pretty considerably if I had gotten blue pill. So that's from an event. They got the same Potonets as I did. Same Herculean power, splash. They got like everything that they could have hoped for fencers effectively. The effectiveness aura. The one thing they are missing on fencers that I will say, I will admit to, is like they probably wanted thorns and didn't get it here, but they got healthy fat. And because they have a combination of like healthy fat plus vampirism, these are very survivable. They just spec health multiplier to play into that. So, and the fact that you can now get snake agility on these guys, could have also gotten evasion on his eggheads, but man, I think specifically what ruins shooter comps about fourth place. There we go. Well, that's top 10 for sure, boys. So we're in there. That's gonna be my video for the day. I'm gonna turn down this music for a second here. It's still back there. You probably just don't hear it though. So what I want to say about this sort of thing is that if it wasn't very clear, it hasn't updated yet. Unfortunately, I am in fourth now. But if it wasn't very clear, at a high level of play, you're subject to a massive amount of RNG. That there's almost nothing you can do to mitigate. The things that you can do to mitigate it are natural, like implicit consequences of the systems, the mechanics that they've built the game on, that when combined create a dynamic. Like, for example, if you leave an altar up in no food, it's blocking 3 mutations. Like, that's a natural consequence of the way that they have designed mutations, right? So, because you can't just pull a duplicate mutation out of the next altar. So you are banishing, like, for one floor, you're quote-unquote banishing 3 mutations by holding an altar like that, right? And so what happens is that the ways in which you mitigate RNG in this game involve, like, a lot of clunky sort of chore-like repetitive behavior, like walking back to altars, making sure that you've pulled common mutations out at first. And even after doing all of that, you're subject to a tremendous amount of RNG by the end of the game, even using cursive mutations, which allows you to pull 2 mutations from each altar. And even when you get a tremendously good run like I just had, what you end up with is this binary search matchmaking, and it's not even fuzzed. This is a major problem that they need to fix. Is like, if I played it again, I would still fight this guy first, and then I would fight Malcolm second, and then I would fight Tachyon, because it rolls exactly the same. It's deterministically rolled with no fuzzing. It needs to fuzz a bit. Like, you need to fight somewhere between the 21st and the 23rd guy rolled randomly. There needs to be some fuzzing in there for this matchmaking, so that there's a little bit of variability, so that the Grandmaster, so the end of the line Grandmaster play doesn't come down to like, well, I know what the jumps are, and so I will build a counter team that counters them, so that I can then like reorganize the placements, so that I can then make another run that can hopefully jump to first, because that is the current meta. The current meta involves mostly knowing as many varied teams and being able to play them very, very well. Like, I'm good at shooters because I spent like 50 runs playing them last season. Lectress takes first regularly, has taken first many more times than any other player, because they know the matchups so well. They know very, very many different team compositions and play them all at least as cleanly as I have played the shooters this run. And so what happens is that when they recognize they can recognize what teams are at what jump spots, and they will play a team and try to put a team in top place that produces counters that will land in slots that they can then counter with another team if they need to jump back again at the end of the month. And what's interesting is that because they give you an exact cutoff date for like when this ends, you'll find that many GMs are just playing in the last like day or two, and also that people will have a very strong counter team parked right before Despots that they just load up and send off if somebody displaces them on the rank, like on the leaderboard. If somebody takes them over, they will just like have a team ready that they just send off. I don't like the dynamics that are produced from this kind of matchmaking. I like this kind of asynchronous PvP matchmaking. But to be perfectly frank, there's no reason that you can't do something incredibly arduous like Swiss or round robin in a game like this if you were to simply allow the player to play the game at 16 or 32x speed, which should be trivial to implement on a technical level. If you could play the game at 32x speed, I don't mind watching my team comp fight against all of the other comps in Grandmasters if I can come away with a highest average score, although that does create other problems, like it advantages teams that have the fewest counters. But I think that creates more interesting dynamics where you try to create a well-rounded team by picking up mutations that help to deal with those counters when those counters aren't well constructed. So in any case, let me see if this updated yet. No, I would have to close the game. Let's see if I can do that. So there are ways to fix this matchmaking, which creates even more randomness and even more stale play among grandmasters, or what I would consider to be stale play. I don't think it's effectively fun dealing with deterministic jumps. I don't think it's effectively fun, or it's very fun, like mapping out counterplay for jumps, for example. I don't think that the way that the RNG is currently implemented in terms of like the several mechanics that do force you to deal with RNG are well implemented. Events are terrible and need to be reworked. The way that mutations are implemented really needs to be reworked. The way that evasion works should probably be entropy based rather than purely random, because like I said, in matchups like versus Mirrari, where that came down to 2 units, it's extremely likely that if you replay that, due to the actually random nature of the game, that like I score a few more bashes, or I silence units that are more effective to be silenced, or I crit a few more times in clutch moments, and that if you were to replay that fight, it would probably Mirrari would not win 100% of the time. They might win 50% of the time, 40% of the time, 60% of the time. But I guarantee you, based on that result, it wouldn't be 100% of the time. And so your placement isn't really reflective of your team strength so much as the extenuating circumstances that happened to be in place when you chose to run your team. And that's a problem. There's a lot of things that they could do to deal with this. I will probably suggest some of them in my write-up. I'm going to do a write-up. I'm going to post it. It's going to contain an absolutely enormous number of suggestions for what they should do with Despots. And I really hope that developers choose to implement a good number of these things, because I think Despots has a lot of potential to be a really, really great game. I want to see more asynchronous PvP implemented into auto-battlers that have like relatively depthful build crafting, and Despots is probably the first auto battler that I've played that actually like meets those criteria. So in any case, I hope you guys are, gonna have a good day, and thanks everybody who stopped by. And if if you're watching this on YouTube, stop by the Twitch at some point and say hi. I don't stream very often, but when I do tend to commentate pretty well and interact with the chat. So, all right. See you later, guys.